we have a little bit of sun this morning, which is really nice. I'm really happy for it because it's just nice to have sun, obviously, every once in a while when it's been really gray. In Berlin, I think, especially compared to the part of Wisconsin that I'm from, it is so dark in the winters, in the fall. It's just such a dark city. I don't know if Germany all around is like that. From where I visited, it definitely seems the same. But it's nice to have a sunny day today. I'm really, really grateful for that. Last week when we spoke, I hadn't spoke to you guys in a long time, and I didn't know if I'd be back this week or how long it would take, you know, if it would be 10 days, if it would be a week. So I'm happy to see you guys a week later. I have been very busy this past week. It's so funny because it's been really nice actually, because I had been really, really exhausted because I'm pregnant, and so I had just been so exhausted. Now I'm moving into my 16th week of pregnancy, for those of you wondering. And yeah, I had just been really exhausted, and I really didn't have a lot of motivation to do anything. And this past week, I did so much stuff for the Homespun House shop. It's not live yet. I've had a lot of people writing me, asking me when the shop will go live. Very soon. I would not be surprised if on Monday there were a lot of stuff popping up in the shop. Some things will be secrets and you will not know about them until they're there. And then obviously I will talk about them in the upcoming podcasts. But I've just had so much motivation to be working on so many handcrafts for the shop. Everything in the shop is homemade. So, or handmade, I guess. I know a lot of people don't like that word homemade. Handmade is a lot more nicely made, maybe. It's better put, I guess. So I've been so busy working on sewing up, creating things for the shop, and that has just been really, really fun and a really good feeling to finally be doing some sort of work and having some energy. I would say around 2 o'clock I turn into a huge cranky crank because I'm so exhausted, and I'm maybe not so fun to be around at that time, but I just get too exhausted. So I need to take it a little bit easier each day, I guess, and be more aware of being nice at 2 o'clock. While it is sunny, it is cold, so I am drinking a nice warm drink. And as I talked about last week, how much I love my candles. This is the Yankee Candle, Home Sweet Home. This is one that my mom always had burning when I was younger. It really, really has a nice cinnamon smell. It's not overpowering, but when Robert comes inside, he says, "Oh, it smells so magnificent in here. It's such a lovely smell." Obviously, he's not saying it's such a lovely smell, but that's me putting his words into mine, that it just smells so wonderful in here. And I've been really loving this one. I've mostly had it burning all day, all the time, while I'm cutting fabric, sewing fabric, ironing things, making things with my hands, and I have just been loving it. It's such a wonderful fall, Christmas scent, and like I said, it's one that my mom had quite often, and I fell in love with it growing up, and as soon as I saw it this past time when I was in America, I thought, I need to get that. It's one of my favorites. So that is our featured candle today. I'm sure it will be our featured candle very often, because I have specific candles designated for different rooms. And this is my living room / kitchen room. All right, so I guess while we're over here, and I guess I kind of talked a little bit about it's a Christmas scent. I did indeed finally take out my Bird of Happiness bag, and work on a bird of happiness. So a couple of days ago, I watched a Christmas movie. It was really funny because I was sewing up some Christmas bags for the shop. I will show you guys all of that stuff at the end because I know some people aren't interested in it at all. So I was sewing up some really, really fun Christmas bags for the shop, and it really inspired me and made me think kind of Christmassy, my mindset. And I don't want to get too crazy into Christmas in November. Like I said, I want to wait until December or end of November to really get into all of that music and decorating, and I'll maybe slowly start watching some Christmas movies because Christmas is so short-lived that it's nice to kind of make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, so after I finished sewing my bags, I was talking to my best friend who I've been friends with since I was 2 years old, and she asked me why I wasn't listening to Christmas music while I sewed my Christmas bags. And I think in lieu of Christmas bag sewing, it would have been acceptable to listen to some Christmas music. So I was a little bit bummed, of course, that I hadn't thought of that brilliant idea of listening to Christmas music, which was such a pity. And then I thought, you know what? I'm tired. I have a little bit of time. I did so much work today. I'm going to sit down and watch a Christmas movie. I watched a really hilarious, I bet it was like a Hallmark or Lifetime movie called something about the Christmas candle. It wasn't even amazing, wasn't even close to amazing. It was okay. I would not recommend it. I wouldn't say you need to go out and watch it. It was a time passer. It was okay. And while I was sitting there watching it, I thought, I'm a little bit inspired to knit a Christmas bird of happiness. And when inspiration hits, you need to take it, run with it, and do it. Because, like I mentioned, my bird of happiness bag is empty. And I like to collect those and knit them up and then give them away to special people. I've talked about this many times. So I did one bird of happiness. So here it is. This came from a leftover ball that I had for my Cozy Memories blanket. I have quite a bit of this yarn left. I have enough to knit definitely a square. And I love this yarn. So this is the way that it looks. The bird of happiness. And these are so quick to knit. Because I was watching the movie, I think it probably took me 45 minutes to knit, but usually it takes, I would say, half an hour or so. The pattern for this actually calls for worsted weight yarn, but I'm not going to do anything with that huge worsted weight bird. I've shown these on the podcast many times, and it's funny because when I was in America, I had given one to my mom and my grandma who watched the podcast, and they were both really surprised and shocked at how teeny they were. So I don't know. I have really small hands as well, so maybe people imagine that they're bigger. I have quite child-sized hands, to be honest. And I knit them on fingering weight yarn in a size 2mm or size 0 American needle. So they are quite small. I don't even know, I would say they're about maybe 2.5 inches wide and a little over an inch high, or an inch and a half. They're really small, or maybe 3 inches at the most. And they're a lot of fun to knit. The pattern is so brilliant. I enjoy knitting them. As I was knitting these, I wondered how much longer this pattern will last for me. It's one that I will keep my bag out for a little bit longer, and it's all ready. I just have the pattern in there, all of my wool, my lavender. This one, on the other hand, I actually tried to stuff with some clove. I didn't have any, I had real, like, the big thick cloves that you stick in oranges. We did that when we were little, at least, for Christmas, and I loved doing that. A couple of years we did that. And it was way too pokey and pointy, and it didn't really let out the smell enough as much as I wanted. So I took those cloves out of there, and I decided to just then stuff it with lavender. I would have loved to have done a clove stuffed Christmas bird, but like I said, it just didn't work out. So you can still smell the clove on this, which is funny. I feel like it smells stronger now than it did when I initially put the clove in. I'm using the wool that the clove was inside of, so maybe some of that oil that was on the clove got in there. I don't know, but it definitely smells like clove, and I almost cannot even smell the lavender, which is funny. So this was fun. I will keep this one. This is the first one that I've made that is for me. I've kept none of the other birds of happiness. So that's mine. And yeah, that was fun. That was really fun to do something a little bit Christmassy, because I've been wanting to, and I've just been making myself hold off, which I don't know if that's ridiculous. Do you guys think that's ridiculous? Like I just said, I'm just worried about New Year's coming and January coming and me being like, you know what, Christmas has gone on long enough. I'm putting everything away. But I can totally start listening to Christmas music and watching Christmas movies, right? That's something that I never really get sick of. And of course, after Christmas ends, that Christmas music and movies kind of end. I can hold off on the decorations, I think, until December, but I think I'll do those other things when I want to. The next thing that I worked on was my Featherweight cardigan. This was a cardigan that I knit for our classic Must Knits knit along. It ran from, oh my goodness, was it August through October? Or was it September through October? I have no idea. I think it was September through October, so 2 months. And the last time I spoke with you, I of course had the body done and I had a bit of the arm done. So I transferred the arm to circular needles, and I'm using completely different yarn for this pattern than what's written in the pattern, and I am using different needle size. And I knit a couple of rows. I would say I maybe only put in 2 inches. I haven't decided yet how long I want the sleeves to be either. I think I'll have them long sleeves, but this is Query Fiber Arts. I have no idea what this colorway is, which is terrible because I know loads of people love it, the tweed. I just want this to be done. And I'm already thinking it maybe won't fit me when I'm getting bigger. A lot of my pants already slowly are not fitting. I have 2 pair that still fit, but I have no idea. I have no idea what to wear. The next thing that I finished, this is the final thing that I've worked on this week, and that is because I basically had to rip it out, what I worked on before, and that is the newborn vertebrae. I do this because I completely changed the pattern. It has the same, I guess, sort of look in a way, but it's not even the pattern at all. So I guess you could say this was inspired by the newborn vertebrae. I cast on a different number of stitches. I used a different needle size for the pattern. Guess I can show it while I'm talking about it. So this is the back, and this is the front. Yeah, so I really want this to fit a newborn. And like I've mentioned in the past episode, Elodie had one cardigan that fit her perfect, and I was so happy to have that one cardigan that fit this newborn baby perfect, because so many things that are made for newborn, especially hand knits, are often quite large. I even think this is going to be a little bit big, which is good. I wanted to have some positive ease. In the last episode I said negative ease, totally meant positive ease. I wanted to have some positive ease, and while this looks small, I know that it will be a little bit large. So some other things that are different than the newborn vertebrae is I have these panels for the front. I I also knit this a little bit different, and I just knit the dimensions different in general. I decided to go on this Fair Isle hearts at the bottom because, like I mentioned, a lot of my knitting, I feel like, especially when it's Fair Isle related, is inspired by my grandma. It's a lot of things that she puts into her knitting because she very, very often does Fair Isle. Very often. I would say most of her knits that I can think of have Fair Isle in them. And she usually does it at a border, kind of like what I've done. And these hearts are one that she's done. I would say they're her most classic Fair Isle pattern. And they're just simple hearts, but they're Scandinavian style, which, like I've mentioned, my heritage on my mom's side is Norwegian. And so my grandma, I know when she has knit, she's been inspired by a lot of Scandinavian design. And I really love it. I think the hearts are adorable, really cute. These colors are so gender neutral. And I think they'll look lovely on a little girl or a little boy. I can even roll the sleeves up a little bit if they're too long. And I really, really love the way this turned out. It's so sweet and adorable. I toyed with the idea. Here, let's show you guys those hearts because they are so, I just love them. I really like the way that they turned out. I can remember I did do quite a bit of Fair Isle when I was maybe a teenager. And I could not get my tension right on my Fair Isle. It was always way too tight. So I would knit a hat that would be the size of a baby or a toddler, and while the hat part would fit, you couldn't really get it over the head because the tension was way too tight. And I hadn't knit Fair Isle in quite a while. I can't think of the last thing that I really knit any sort of Fair Isle in. So when I knit this, I thought, oh my goodness, I have to be so aware of what I'm doing with the needles and what I'm doing with my hands and with the tension, because I don't want this baby cardigan to be that same case, especially around the wrists, that it's too tight. I mean, that would be such a pity. It's something that I'm spending a lot of time on, and I really want to master that Fair Isle tension. I really, really did. I'm really proud of myself because the tension it's perfect. In my opinion, it's perfect for what I wanted to achieve. And I'm really, really happy for the way that it turned out. Granted, it definitely took me a lot longer to knit this Fair Isle section, and it wasn't the most fun, especially the bottom, where I had to knit it in, when I had to knit it flat. I don't really enjoy purling Fair Isle, but all my ends are woven in. It's been blocked, but they're just little strings hanging because I always block with my strings uncut in case they need to be woven in a little bit more, because blocking stretches things and kind of pulls things out of order. So that's finished. That's the first baby knit. Katie, who I mentioned is my best friend that I've known since I was 2. I didn't mention her name actually. She's pregnant as well, which is really funny. This is such a crazy story because we have 2 children. We each have a child who just turned 3, and they're 5 days apart. And now we're both pregnant again, and our due date is 1 day apart. You guys, this was not, our births were planned. My birth was planned. Her birth was planned, but we had a really busy time where we maybe hadn't talked for 3 months or so, so we didn't really know that the other person was trying to have a baby. And which is really crazy because we often talk a lot. And then I just wrote her one day, the day I found out I was pregnant, and I said, Katie, I'm pregnant. And she said, oh my goodness, I was just about to take a test today too. she sent me her test and she was pregnant as well. So it really is really special. Katie and my birthday is 18 days apart. We've known each other since we were 2, like I said. Our first child is 5 days apart, and our second children, the due date is 1 day apart. I know that that is really flexible, but it will still be really close. It's so crazy. 3 years after having our first children, we get pregnant with our second one together. It's just really, really special. And she is one of those very, very special friends who I really crazy value. She's my longest, oldest friend, like I said, since I've been 2. So she saw this. I know I had to have a whole rant before I got onto this, but I wanted to share that story with you guys because it's unbelievable almost. It's such a coincidence, although nothing is really coincidence. So she saw this. I sent her a picture of it. She loved it. And she said that she wanted some of this yarn in a hat because she isn't going to figure out the gender of her baby. And so she's really going for a lot of gender neutral clothing items. And she really loved this. And she liked the hearts as well, but she thought she wanted stripes. So I'll do just a little newborn hat. I want to do one to match this as well for our baby. So next week I imagine I'll have 2 newborn hats, one with stripes, and then I think this one will just be a plain gray. I don't think I'll do the red Fair Isle. So those are 2 things that I have kind of marinating, knowing that I want to knit, and that I would just like to get kind of on and off the needles. Quick little baby newborn knits. Fun as well. We have giveaways that I need to do. So I'll do those right now really, really quick. Oops. So all of this stuff on my desk. Okay. So we have 2 knit-alongs that we've done. The first one was the classic Must Knits knit-along that I did with Kristen of the Yarngasm podcast. She also has an amazing shop. Monday was her first day. She quit her day job and she decided, you know what, I really want to do what I love. You guys watch her podcast if you want to hear about it. I don't want to tell her story. But she's taken her Wool and Vine yarns on full time and I'm so excited for her. You guys go over and congratulate her. Let her know that you're excited for her and rooting for her to have an amazing journey in doing what she loves. So yes, the first knit along that I did with her, and that was the classic Must Knits. So the first winner of the classic Must Knits is Little Watermelon. She doesn't have a name on her Ravelry. She wins this gorgeous skein of, it's this really special tie-dye technique, and I just think it's really cool. So she wins a skein of this tie-dye yarn. Congratulations. Thank you so much for knitting along with us. The next winner is GenCom72, and Jenny, you can just die right now because, and go to heaven. I don't mean that in a bad way, because you just won this Ren and Ollie fiber. Now, I hope you spin, because you will die when you see this and when you touch it and when you get it, because this is my favorite fiber company, Ren and Ollie. And this is the butterfly ball. It is Angelina, Merino, and Tussa Silk. And this is just one of those bats that you pull from the center. They're really, really easy to spin with, but they're so lush. They are just, they're unlike anything. They really are. So those are our first 2 winners. The next knit along that we had was the Whispering Pines knit along, and that was for my shawl that I designed. So many people were involved in the knit along. This is just the shawl I'm showing you. It's really nice, big, comfy. I knit mine in the Bijou Basin Yak, their sky colorway, and that's my most worn shawl. I wear it more than anything. And I love it. So I've had so much fun watching you guys knit on these, and we have 2 winners. The first winner is Knit Venture, and that is Pamela. And Pamela, you win this gorgeous skein of coloring book yarns. This yarn is so pretty with so many fun colors. Pink, kind of a grayish, sky blue, red, orange, yellows. They blend really nicely together, the colors do in my opinion. And then Disa Craftwork. Disa, you win this O Loops orange skein of yarn. Really, really pretty. I love O Loops. They're also one of my favorite yarn shops. They dye so nicely. They're really generously priced in my opinion. And they have such fun color names, and they always have so many fun things going on in their group. They also have a really great podcast, in my opinion. And I hope you enjoy that, Disa. So thank you so much, everyone who was involved in all of our knit-alongs. I won't be doing one this month. There's a lot going on, especially now with my shop. There are so many new things coming. I'm really busy during the day. That I think this month we're just not going to have one. We can be thinking about what we want to do for a December knit along, if that's what we decide to do. I'm quite positive we will, because I like to have that community going on in the group. But for November, I think we'll just take a break. It's kind of late anyway in November to ask you guys to join in on some sort of knit along. So we'll be thinking about it until a week before December or so, what we want to do. I received a package, you guys. I almost completely forgot about this. So, this is from Jenna of Bumblebee Primitives, and she's so sweet. She is really sweet. She had sent me a couple of messages before I left for America, and telling me she really wanted to send me some spindles, because the spindle that I have is quite broken, and it really unevenly spins. And I have not had a chance to use the ones that she sent me yet. So this week it is really a goal of mine to try these out. And she was so generous in what she decided to send me. So she wrote me a really nice little note. I want to show you guys this. She handmade me this adorable, really pretty. This is like the Whispering Pines. I don't know if that's what she was inspired by. She didn't write it. But that's kind of what I think when I look at this. She must have cut out all of these trees and just designed this special for me, which makes me feel really special. She then lined it with this really nice felt on the inside. And then she put in some to dye for mini skeins for my blanket. I don't think I own any yellow yarn now that I look at this. So that would be a nice pop of color. It looks like each one will maybe make 2 squares on the blanket. This one's my favorite, this really glittery pink. Gorgeous! Whoops. So, and then she sent, I guess it's like a spinning sleeve. It's a sleeve for your fiber. So you put it on, and then when you're spinning, you can tuck your fiber in there. So it's not, for me, if I'm spinning outside on the balcony, especially in the summer, it can get quite obnoxious because the wind will blow your fiber around and it's easy for it to get cut in the wheel. So many tragic things can happen when spinning in the wild. And then she sent me, you guys won't even believe this, she sent me 3 wheels. 3. She didn't send me 3 wheels. She sent me 3 spindles. So the first one that she sent is this, and all of them came with a little bit of fiber, which is really adorable. So this is a spindle and fleece, 6 ounces, a 6-ounce spindle. And really, this fiber kills me. I mean, I wonder if she's prepared this. And she spun just a little bit on each one, maybe to see how they're spinning. And this has just a beautiful sun on there. And she hand makes all of these. So I'm really just looking forward to trying all of these out. They're really nicely made. All of the wood is really soft and just nicely made, like I said, good quality. Then she sent me this one, which has just, it's kind of like a snowy bottom, like, you know, with a little bit of grass and then snow drizzled on. That one's 2 ounces. I'm excited because I've never ever, I've tried to spin with a top whirl. I've never spun with a support spindle. I didn't really have any luck with the top whirl, with the bottom whirl spindle is what I mean. Because there was no hook. I just couldn't figure it out. I watched so many tutorials. This was quite a while ago, maybe a year. And I just couldn't really figure it out. And I just got a little bit too frustrated and said, you know what? That's enough. I'm not going to even try anymore. So these ones with the hooks on them, I feel really confident in my spinning skills. And I totally think I can take that on. So, I have some things finished for the shop, almost. They're almost finished, that I don't want to share with you guys until next week. Just because they're not completely finished, and I don't want to finish them. I don't want to share them with you until they're done. So Jenna also sent this. Such nice fiber, and so she definitely did make this, because this is the fiber that was inside of on the spindles. So this is from Spindle and Fleece at Etsy.com, and that's some fun fiber for me to spin with. Hand blended on blending board. It's hand dyed merino, Polworth, softs, wool, and silk, and it also has some Angelina fibers inside. So that is 2 ounces. And that will be, this is what I'll use when I'm spinning on those spindles, I think. So the update that I have for the shop, I feel like I'm missing something, but I'm not, is first I'll show you guys the Christmas bags that I will be sewing. So I've just cut out all of the fabric. This was so much fabric. It's so hard when you have huge yardage of fabric to cut it. That is when I really don't like it. If I have a 1/2 meter or 1 meter of fabric, it's not that bad. But when it comes down to 3 meters, oh, I'm really scratching at my head. So I think I probably cut a total of 10 meters of fabric in this morning, and then I sewed the front and the back of the bags together. So I think I have 8 different project bags, and I think I will have a total of 28 total. So Christmas project bags is what I mean. So I'll just show you the front of those just so you guys can get a sneak peek. These should be finished next week and then in the shop the next. So here's the first one, and this probably looks familiar because this is exactly the project bag that I have and use quite often, Christmas one. So there is that. This one's my favorite. I really love this vintage style fabric. So for all of these fabrics, I have 2 different contrasting fabrics. So here I have the little mint, Christmas mint swirls. And then here I have the same Christmas housewife with some polka dots. And the same one with the polka dots. These ones are, all these fabrics I just love them. So this one then with the mint Christmas swirls. And then with the polka dots. So those are ones that you can look forward to coming up in the shop. And there will be, I believe, 3 of each bag about Some there will be more of, some there will be less of. And what I have finished and what will be going up in the shop, along with some other things, of course, I'm not just selling project bags, are these bags. So here's the first one that I have. And I have so much new fabric. I told you guys I purchased a big thing of fabric in America, but right now I'm going through some fabrics that I already had. So a lot of these, I think all of them, you've probably already seen. So these are all big enough to hold a sock, a shawl. I can definitely fit my shawls in there. Mittens, gloves, a small scarf. You can fit a lot of knitting projects in here. I fit my newborn vertebrae, fit perfect in there. This one's one of my favorites. I've mentioned that before. I love the house one. I really, really like this one. I love the contrast zipper color that I chose for this one. Just so fun. I have two of these. I have two of these, the Mother Bee. I have a Grandmother's Garden. Just that pretty little shabby chic. I have more. I have a hopscotch one. Then I have two tea times, but with separate contrasting fabrics. So I have this one with the pink gingham. And then I have this one with the pink polka dot. So just all to taste. And my shop will be, I don't have an Etsy shop anymore. Everything will be going through a homespunhouse.com. So if you want to check and see if there are things in the shop, it will be at homespunhouse.com. But that will not be happening until after next Monday. Just a heads up, so you're not looking over the weekend and thinking, okay, when is stuff going up? Because I still have some work that I have to do today for the shop, but as far as listing everything, I won't be able to do that until next week because the weekend's coming and that's when I'm spending time with my family and not working on stuff for the shop. So I have one large bag and I can fit a sweater for myself in this, but I know that is not the case for everyone, but this is quite big. And I've had some people tell me that they actually don't use their project bags for knitting. I know a lot of people do, but some people are using theirs. I do this as well. In my purse for organizing things, keeping money in, keys, Kleenexes, because with the little one I always have to make sure that I have Kleenexes in my purse, gum, anything really. Just kind of a nice little purse organizer, or even cosmetic. You can wash them. They're made out of 100% cotton. I would more so spot clean, I guess. I wouldn't really wash it because of the thick padding that makes it a little bit more... Don't you hate when you cannot think of your words? It's like the worst thing. I know Sarah mentions this a lot of the O-Snit podcast. She's like, words, I need words. To make it more stable, I guess. That's not actually what I mean, but yeah, so I would more so spot clean it, but don't be scared to scrub it a bit. If you get cosmetics on it or if they get a little bit dirty, they wash up really, really well. So, I feel like more stuff has been going on, like Elodie's birthday party. Her birthday party was this past weekend. On the day of her birthday, it was really, really, really nice. Elodie had the most fantastic day. We rented a space to have her birthday because we invited, I think, about 30 people, maybe 25 people or so were there. It was really nice. All of some of the kids from her kita, their parents, some of my friends, and then family, of course. So Elodie had all of her friends there, which was most of her friends. One of them couldn't make it, but it was just, She had such a nice day. We played really fun music that she loves. I made, you guys, okay, so I live in Germany, if you didn't know that. And Germans have they have this thing called Käsekuchen, and that means cheesecake. And I think they have no idea what cheesecake is, because here cheesecake is made with quark, and it tastes nothing like American cheesecake, I guess. I guess I can't say they don't know what cheesecake is because they have their own rendition of it, but from what I'm used to, I don't want to sound snobby, I guess. Because Germans love it. They love their Käsekuchen, and I just don't. I don't at all. There have been so many times, I would say 10 times, that I've bought it and forgotten that it's Quarkkuchen, which basically means really thick yogurt cake. It's kind of like a sour cream cake, and that's what it tastes like. It has no American cheesecake flavor. And I just don't like it. I asked Robert's mom to make it for me for my birthday because I forgot, of course, that it's not the same. And it will be the last time that I buy cheesecake here, unless it's from an American cheesecake place, I guess. So anyway, I made a real American cheesecake. It was really, really, really delicious. You have to eat it when it's cold, of course. When I served it, it was about room temperature. People liked it, but it's nowhere near the same as when it's cold. I want to make it again just because it was so delicious, and cheesecake is quite easy. I never made it before. I thought it was more difficult than it is, but it's really not. I made my own crust. I made everything from scratch, which is what I do, which is what my mom has always done. And I just can't imagine making boxed things because I guess that's not the way I've grown up. And I can always, maybe I'm like that funny person who's in the restaurant and says, I'd like a bottle of water, and then they pour the water out, pour water from the faucet and bring me the bottled water, and I'm like, yes, it's such a difference, even though I'm totally not that person with water. But homemade is completely different. I can really taste it when it's homemade or a box. So I made my cheesecake homemade. I made it from All Recipes. I have been on this All Recipes kick in the past 3 weeks. I have been trying loads of new meals, and every meal that I've been using is All Recipe. Of course, it has to be a top recipe, rated at least 4.5 out of 5 stars, and there has to be at least over 1,000 people who have tried it. I've made so many delicious meals from All Recipes. I'm getting really inspired to make that cheesecake again today because right now the baby, not me, the baby would really like to eat it. And yeah, I've just been having a lot of fun cooking. Baking, I think, will slowly come into play more and more. I think I've generally been eating quite healthy. There was a time, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, where I was eating, I would say like 8 clementines a day and an apple. I couldn't stop eating them. And I'm totally babbling on as I did in the last episode. I will talk to you guys later. I will talk to you next week. Look forward to that shop update. There will be some really fun things in there next week that I didn't mention that I've never had in my shop. And I hope you guys are excited about it. I hope you like it, and I will see you all next week.